score is 193 for 3.
So Essex hosting Durham. Essex batting first, 147
going on around the country today.
In the 30.
Essex Durham
over.
Essex 115 for 2. Just coming over, and Warwickshire playing Lancashire. Lancashire at 92 for 1 in the 19th.
Turner
over.
and Thompson, 1 each for Katie Levick and Maddie Villiers over there. So Durham looking comfortable.
At the end of this over as well.
And the Wags are in the house. Danny Wyatt Hodges' wife Georgia and Piper Cleary, Amy Jones's fiance, deciding what they're going to have for lunch. Oh, that looks nice.
Trip to M&S by the looks of it.
Little couscous salad, that looks good. So that's what's going on Essex and Durham, and we'll get to Warwickshire Lancashire after this delivery.
Cuts dropped. It was a really sharp chance for Wyatt Hodge. It just splits through her hand. She was diving away to her right. The result is 1 run.
Turner and Thompson, 1 each for Katie Levick and
fascinated to see a replay here. It would have been a spectacular catch had it stuck.
Yeah, this went at quite some pace, didn't it? Thick edge, slashed at it, and barely a moment to think about it. She would have expected her to try to take that, though.
Little couscous salad, that looks good.
That sneaks down the leg side. Davison Richards hasn't quite found her radar so far.
And Lancashire women are taking on Warwickshire. That's up at Edgbaston today. Lancs batting first, 154 for 4. Emma Lamb still there, 79 from 70. Katie Mack was out for 57 from 86. And I had a message from someone in Australia who was watching that match to watch Katie Mack, basically. And she'd had 3 concussion checks.
Yeah, this went at
She's not the tallest of figures, so maybe just...
I beg your pardon, so she was struck 3 times whilst batting?
Yes.
Well, who was bowling?
I don't know, but Katie, I mean, she's not the tallest of players.
To take that, though.
But she's a great addition to Lancashire, Katie Mack. She's obviously moving from ACT Meteors this year down to New South Wales Breakers. There's my Australian news for you.
I was across that, yes.
Lancashire women are taking on Warwickshire.
In terms of transfers, Maddie Blinkhorn-Jones, who was of this parish when it was of South East Stars, made her debut for Essex today, made 8. Pulled strongly out to the fielder, deep square leg. Surrey, whilst that drop catch hasn't gone their way, so to speak, the last 2.5 overs have, and I wouldn't say they've been the tightest of overs. It's just been singles. There's been no boundaries in that. As long as that continues, Surrey will be pretty happy.
3 times whilst batting. Yes. Who's bowling? I don't know, but Katie, I mean, she's not the tallest of players.
Short again, pulled. Stonehouse will do well to intercept this, and she does. A slight bobble means the Blades are able to get back for 2.
Did you catch any of the Somerset game yesterday?
I did catch quite a lot of it, actually.
One of my favourite catches I think I've ever seen, Sophie Luff. She went to take the catch sort of above her head, easy, hands as you like, drops it, and then it bounced out of her hand, and she caught it with one hand, but propped against her hamstring.
That's wild from Davison Richards, wide ball signalled by Sue Redfern.
And took the catch in the end. I mean, she very much should have taken it on the first one, but did well to recover, and I'm sure it's across social media somewhere.
That explains so much, because I was watching it on NV Play, where you're able to go back ball by ball, but it isn't the stream, so you only have the fixed camera. So you had the fixed camera on the bowler, and you had a wide shot. I think they were using kind of fielding analysis.
She does. A slight bobble means
it's well bowled by Davison Richards. And you've got it up here. So I'm going to have to tell you guys. So she drops the ball and then somehow reaches around and clings onto the ball against her hamstring. But I was so confused because you could see the ball just go up for a simple catch to mid-wicket, and on both views it looked like it was just a simple, easy catch. And then the bowler loses her mind and celebrates wildly.
Yeah, I can understand the confusion there.
Cuts. This time it's comfortably in the gap. That's one more run. At the end of the 32nd over, the Blades have brought up their 200. Sarah Bryce on 30, Georgia Ellis on 10. So with 18 overs to go, I'd say both teams would be pretty content with how they're placed. the first kind of 32, the first 2/3 of this innings kind of been simmed to a point where, well, if Surrey bowl well in this final 18, they'll be favourites. If the Blaze bat well, it'll be them instead. How's that for sitting on the fence?
I love it. I love it. That's fine. It's like the pigeons that sit on the spikes outside your house, you know, sitting on the fence. But it was that partnership, really, wasn't it, from Jones and Catherine Bryce that really accelerated them up to this run rate. It has slowed down.
Edged, and that'll be 4 runs. Just short of length from Stonehouse, which allowed Bryce to go for that cut. She looks to play so often.
That's absolutely flown off the edge, using the pace of Stonehouse as well. Probably not where she was quite intending or what she was trying to do, but it's bounced up. Quick hands through it from Bryce, and she picks up another 4. So she's on to 34. So nice little innings this from the Blaze keeper.
It's well bowled. What a catch! Superb from Chatley. She covers her face in surprise, but no one else is surprised. She's flown to our left. Emma Jones ready and waiting to celebrate with her teammates, and that's a superb catch. Bryce looking to force the ball into that deep third region once again. Gets a thick edge, and Chatley's dived. It's stuck, and Surrey have their 4th wicket.
That is a sensational bit of keeping. Sarah Bryce looks really frustrated as she goes there. I mean, we're talking about how it's 2 of the best keepers around in this game today. Well, one of them has just got the upper hand on the other. She'd be pleased with taking that catch herself behind the stumps, Sarah Bryce. But Ken, so fast. Again, the pace of Stonehouse, had a big slash and just sticks out that right mitt and manages to keep it in. And you can see even there, she couldn't quite believe it. And that's just what Surrey needed, because she was the set batter. Elwes not going along a particular lick at the other end, 10 from 18. And find themselves 204 for 4 on the Blaze.
Well, Kira Chatley's having a day of it so far. She's been very proactive with her captaincy, lots of bowling changes. When the new batters have come in, she's brought extra fielders up, been very aggressive. She's benefited from both McDonald Gay and Danny Gregory producing beautiful deliveries to remove the set batters. And there, just when her team needed it, when Sarah Bryce was motoring along, she pulls off a stunner. The result is that Maddie Green, on debut for the Blaze, is at the crease. Kira Chatley's all smiles at the moment. Why shouldn't she be? I hope this is a replay again of the catch. We've got a reverse angle. That's a quick low to her right. Goalkeepers refer to those as spaces kind of like the black holes of goalkeeping, where it's almost easier to dive further than it is to dive down, because you're kind of almost waiting for gravity to take over. It's fantastic agility from Chatley. Cut away. It's a dot ball to begin her Blaze career. You aware of just how many thousands of runs Maddie Green has been scoring of late?
No, and I feel like I should be.
Well, she's basically stumbled into the form of her life, and of anyone's life at that. Beautifully blocked towards the cover. So Maddie Green's been a staple of the New Zealand team for many a year. Over the last 18 matches, over the course of the last year, she's averaging 80. She's scored 5 centuries, 3 half-centuries. For every team she's playing for, she's churning out runs, whether that be for New Zealand, the domestic side of New Zealand, or she's off the mark here. New Zealand had a kind of North Island versus South Island series, and she was scoring runs in that as well.
So a great addition to the Blaze. Obviously they've lost Orla Prendergast, who's gone back over to Ireland.
No, and I feel like I should
not a bad replacement.
She's basically stumbled into the form of her life, and of anyone's life at that.
Elwes takes a couple of steps down the track, nudges the ball up to mid-on. At the end of the 33rd over, the score is 206 for 4. And the game remains in the balance. I'm going to get up my favourite of all the Cricinfo filters. I hope you'd appreciate this.
The Maddie Green filter?
Not the Maddie Green filter. That's my second favourite.
Ah, okay.
My first favourite is when you go on the kind of batting analysis, and I think this is a safe place to talk about kind of ultimate cricketing lows or highs, depending on how much you enjoy to get into the weeds. You're going to have a look at reverse cumulative average. You can see how many. What they
You're fun on a date.
It is remarkable. I normally wait until the second drink to bring that
to bring up reverse cumulative averages.
Reverse cumulative averages.
What's your reverse cumulative?
Davidson Richards
Takes a couple of steps down
sneaks down the leg side again. Surrey, whilst they have been good in the field, they have bowled very well and kind of strictly. Where they've been sloppy, it has been these wides. I know that sounds like a bit of a contradiction. How can you bowl well as a team and also be bowling wides? Because they have been bowling wides, but in general in the direction they've been aiming to, if that makes sense.
It does,
They've not been spraying
weirdly.
it, they've been committing to a plan. They have just been slightly loose with it.
Safe place to talk about ultimate cricketing.
Ellis works that down to deep third for 1 run. I haven't even told you what Maddie Green's reverse cumulative average is yet.
I've been waiting with bated breath.
Right, where should we pluck a number from? Why don't we go last five ODIs, averaging 98.5. There you go.
To bring up reverse cumulative averages.
So whilst, yes, he's only got 100 against Sri Lanka, but it's been a domestic cricket.
Davidson Richards.
I'm not entirely hot on where to find New Zealand domestic cricket scorecards, if I'm honest. She's listed as playing for Auckland.
Where they've been sloppy has been these wides. I know that sounds like a bit of a contradiction. How can you bowl well as a team?
Cut by Green. She might get 4 there, but it's actually cut off by Danny Gregory.
You know, this is where our old friend Hypercourse, hopefully listening, can come to the rescue.
Because I could have sworn she played for someone else, but I might just be wrong. Hypercourse has been in touch across today, and I don't really know what I'll do about Hypercourse.
Nor do I.
If I'm honest.
I've been waiting with bated breath.
And kind of sent me some statistics about just how many runs have been scored in this competition compared to years gone by. Ellis finds a bit of a pocket there. Players will look for 2, but decide against it. So I was explaining this to Catcher that I did some number crunching of my own.
Oh yeah.
Not in the reverse cumulative section, in the kind of overall cumulative section. And the average number of runs scored in a match in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy last year was 366 off the bat.
Yeah.
This year it's been 433.
Might get 4 there. It's actually cut off by Danny Gregory.
And Hypercourse has sent me a table just explaining all these numbers about how absurd the number of runs scored this year have been. So the run rate, and this goes all the way back to the 2016 County Division 1 as it was then called. The run rate of this year is 5.2. It's never been above 5 before. Last year, or 2 years before, 4.88 was the record. We've had more centuries this year than we've had in any other previous year of the competition, and we're only halfway through.
Finds a bit of a pocket there. Players will look for 2, but decide against it.
And those are the 2 best ones.
Well, it's intriguing, isn't it? That it just suddenly has been such a steep incline. Whether it's got anything to do with, you know, the weather we've had, the drier pitches, the flatter pitches, perhaps. Maybe it's just, you know, stepping up to a new era of women's cricket, which I like to think it is.
Hypercourse has sent me a table just
down the track, drive strongly out to that cover point sweeper. At the end of the 34th over, the score is 211 for 4. No, it's the line I used earlier to Catcher is that it's been kind of perfect storm, in part because there haven't been any storms. There's been no rain, the wickets are dry, the outfields are quick, more matches being played on first-class grounds, but not all of them, only about 2/3. And then when you're not playing on first-class grounds, you're playing here at Beckenham, where runs are aplenty. We're playing at Southport, where again runs are aplenty. But I think what's such a positive part of it is the runs haven't been coming exclusively from the England regulars.
From the same people, exactly.
So I think 11 players have scored centuries in this year's competition, and only 2 of them were away at the Ashes. So that speaks to 9 other players who are more kind of focused on domestic cricket, and they're coming up against international bowlers now. And all in all, it's been entirely positive. Stonehouse to continue from the City end. No run. Sneaks through the legs of Phoebe Franklin, but she did enough to kill the pace and prevent the players from scampering through.
There was 100 from Georgia Adams this week for Hampshire. She's played 100 List A matches or something as well. First time she's, I think, first 100 she's scored in List A cricket.
It's turned into the leg side by Green. They're coming back for two. They'll have to be quick here. Appeal to the umpire. Sue Redfern not interested. Kira Chatley was done a mischief there. She appealed to square leg where Sue Redfern wasn't. So she had to complete a 360 to get back and appeal to point.
My favourite. I love it when keepers do this. But actually earned a thumbs up there, did Maddie Green, from George Elvis at the other end.
I don't know if those stumps are straight. If I was Mr. James Treadwell, I'd be asking Kira Chatley to readjust those.
Yeah, the leg stumps on the wonk.
Is angling.
Leg stumps on the wonk.
Scampering through.
There was 100 from Georgia Adams this week.
It's been good from Surrey. The run rate is still above 6. Green's on 5 off 10. Elvis 13 off 21. I can't remember when the last boundary was. It was probably that cut shot from Sarah Bryce just before the ball before she got out. But otherwise, they've been keeping them down to 1s and 2s.
Sue Redfern not interested. Kira Chatley was done a mischief there. She appealed to square
Short
leg,
cut, and that'll be a boundary. Slices away behind point.
Ask and you shall receive, Mr. Ponsonby.
Well, very timely for the Blaze. Very timely for Maddie Green.
I don't know if those Sarah Bryce just before the
Paige Schofield scampers around and cuts the ball off. Now, sometimes the ground staff are listening, and if they are able to give us a hint, if they've been made it at all smaller today.
So that run rate's still up at 6.26, it says. Wasp is telling us 319, but you would think they've got more than 100 in the next 15 overs.
Short, pulls, back with square leg, has work to do, but it's really well fielded in the deep there. McDonald Gay, superb work, keeps it to 1. No, I agree. I think Wasp is potentially feeling a little bit sheepish at the moment. At the end of the 35th over, scores 219 for 4. We're going to have a swap. I think you're done.
Am I out? I am. I will leave you in the capable hands of Cameron Ponsonby, and Katya is going to take over from me.
I just wonder if that low Wasp prediction is to do with those wickets that Surrey have taken. 4 wickets.
Run rate still up at
Well, I was about to say, one of the most more obvious statements that they're 2 wickets away from having the Blaze 6 down. But my point is that with the tail almost exposed, I think a bit more aggression at the back end of an innings, Surrey able to keep that total down. I think Surrey would be delighted if the Blaze walked off with 319.
Keeps it to 1.
Touch on the leg side for 1 run. Katya Whitney's been here. Is been here? Is here.
Has been, well.
Has been, is been, will be, will be.
I am.
That's good English.
Feels like a different game from when I was last on commentary. Amy Jones was still in, going very well. Surrey will be very, very happy with the position they've managed to get themselves into.
Surrey have taken 4 wickets. Well, I was about to say one of the more obvious statements that they're 2 wickets away from having the Blaze 6 down. But my point is,
it's a play and a miss from Maddie Green, who can't believe she's managed to not make contact with that delivery. So yeah, angling to try and force that ball backwards behind point again.
Yeah, that ball just died on its way through to Kira Chatley.
We've seen some superb work from Surrey today. Moments of brilliance from Danny Gregory, Rihanna McDonald-Gay and Kira Chatley. Chatley's latest diving catch. Superb one-handed grab. Down the wicket. Caught? No. It just evades the grasp of McDonald-Gay, I believe, at mid-off. And a show of aggression from Maddie Green brings her 4 runs. She's hit that ever so well. I wonder if that's just split McDonald-Gay's hands or clipped her fingers on the way through.
Yeah, that looked close. For a minute, it looked like it was going straight to her, but we'll see on the replay whether our angles deceived us slightly.
Make contact with that delivery.
See here, Green. Well, that was the ball before that she's missed out on. She was so angry. She tries to run at the next one. Imagine we will get a replay loaded up. I think that's the first boundary Davidson Richards has conceded.
Danny Gregory, Rihanna McDonald-Gay and Kira
Short, and that'll be a wide ball.
Yeah, just looking to bang it into the pitch there, Davison Richards, but got it slightly wrong.
No.
Ball came out of the hand slightly late.
McDonald-Gay, I believe, at mid-off.
Just going to pull up the scorecard and see.
From Maddie Green.
Davison Richards is having an unusual spell at the moment.
I wonder if that's just split.
Well, she's only bowled 3 wides. That's fewer than I thought she had done. She's getting a runner ball, but she only conceded 1 boundary. That short cuts in front of square, so they scamper through for a single.
Well, that was the ball before that.
Immediately, just that little show of aggression. Wasp has hopped up a few runs. We're into 320s now.
We will get replay loaded up. I think it's the first boundary Davison Richards has conceded.
Hypercourse on Twitter informed me more about the England Women's Test Tour of India in 1995, Tour of India in 1995 whilst we were off air.
The one we were discussing
earlier in terms of, well, this is a piece Katya wrote a couple of years ago where she spoke to Sue Redfern, who was playing in that series, about how all number of kind of unbelievable events occurred.
Genuinely, there should be a film made.
And it also included Sue Redfern's debut test. Not only features Neetu David's world record figures of 8 for 33, as you mentioned, it remains the narrowest victory in women's test history as England won by just 2 runs.
That was it as well. Honestly, take your pick of what happened on that tour. There are so many amazing things happened.
Well, after 36 overs, the score is 227 for 4. I believe I've got 1 more over. He'll be handing over to the great Mark Church. I was explaining when I started my stint, there was some drama and controversy about whether I was an over late. But justice was done. We found out me and Mark had got. We were already synced up.
I was informed of this drama, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was.
Well, I would never let Mark down. That's my MO. We're going to have another bowling change. We're going to have a return of Kalia Moore at the City end. Bowling changes are powered by SSE Energy Solutions.
Still no Alice Capsey?
Yes, well, we got I got a hint that Campsey was unlikely to bowl when we saw Sophia Dunkley come on.
Yes,
I thought if we're turning to another spin option, and it's not Capsey, then I suggest she's not going to bowl. Sorry, I've used 7 bowlers today. Charlie's been very happy to shuffle the pack. That's cut firmly for 1 run.
Justice was done.
Danny Gregory only bowled 3 overs, but she claimed the vital wicket of Amy Jones, 1 for 25 off 3, would suggest kind of not the strongest contribution to this innings, but if that was all her work of today is to remove Amy Jones when she was on 80, that's job done in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be a real team effort today by bowling attack. Everyone chipping away and filling their roles.
Yes, well, we got
Cut again, this time comfortably fielded by Franklin at backward point.
Yes.
Thought of returning to another spin option. And it's not Capsey, then I suggest she's not going to bowl. Sorry, I've used 7 bowlers today. Charlie's been very happy to shuffle the pack. That's cut.
Pulled.
For 1 run.
Deep mid wicket will do well to keep it to 1. She does. Sophia Dunkley with the work. Out there.
Feels like an important period of the innings at this point. Sense if the Blaze can get through to the last 8, the last 10 maybe, with this pair still intact.
That's job done in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to
stand a real chance of pushing on towards that plus 320 plus mark, maybe even pushing really high towards 350 or as close as they can get to that 350. But these two feel like they're a crucial partnership.
I believe that is Josie Grove's mum on screen, who Georgia Heath was referring to earlier. She's a very loud, passionate supporter. Down the track from green. Just takes the toe end of the bat, but they're able to trot through for 1 run. I've got to be brutally honest, I've guessed that that's Josie Grove's mum. I've assumed because Georgie said earlier, I can see Groves' mum out there with a Blaze top on. She likes to sing and dance and support the team, and I've added those things together.
That's superb.
Well, it might be wrong, in which case it's not superb. Right, the end of the 37th over has arrived. Just 5 singles off it. The Blaze are 232 for 4. Maddie Green's on 17. Georgia Elwes on 19. I'm going to be replaced by Mark Church. In the meantime, you'll hear more from Catcher Whitney.
Yeah, bit of a holding over. As Cam mentioned, 5 singles from it, but they won't mind that. These two will just want to tick over until they get into that back 10 and then look to attack and see how many runs they can score on this Beckenham pitch. They'll need as many as possible to mount a successful defence. We've mentioned before, it's very hard to defend here at Beckenham. And they'll be looking to push on after they've just survived this little tricky period.
Yes, I think, what are they going at the moment? Just over 6, another 13 to go.
Well, it might be wrong, in which case it's
up around the
right.
310, 320 mark, I would have thought from here.
Just 5 singles off it.
Gregory into her 4th over.
Maddie Green's on 17, Georgia Elwes on 19.
Very short, and this is pulled away by Elwes. And the dive from Stonehouse almost got there, but splits Capsey and Stonehouse, and away for 4 it goes.
That was very well placed, but 2 fielders there looked almost like they were going to crash into each other for a minute. Alice Capsey having to take avoiding action.
Yeah, Danny Gregory, that big wicket of Amy Jones. Do you know what has been the highlight for me so far?
Yes,
Chatley's keeping. Outstanding today.
Well, that catch was immense.
Oh, there's another boundary here for Elwes, cutting this one away. So that's 8 off the 2 deliveries so far from Danny Gregory. It's just been her general glove work has been perfect so far today. And still got Amy Jones to come. So we're being treated to a keeping masterclass today. The catch was fantastic, but it's just been generally up to the stumps as well.
Yeah, and I almost wonder with that extra responsibility for Chatley of captaining today.
Another single here for Elwes. Out to the sweeper.
I sometimes think when you've got another thing to almost, and there's a lot to talk about not giving keepers captaincy because they've already got enough to do behind the stumps all the time, but I sometimes think when you've got that extra thing to think about, so you're focusing slightly less on your keeping, it almost becomes slightly easier because the pressure's almost taken off you a little bit, because that's almost your secondary job, if you were.
Well, they always say that about being an all-rounder, don't they? It's like you've got another string to your bow if one of it goes wrong. A couple more here. It's good fielding.
I almost feel like it comes more naturally when you're thinking about it less. And I've never really held with the talk of giving a keeper too much to do by captaining.
Yeah, the other thing I suppose with the keeping is it's a great spot to see what's going on, but actually I always think keepers are a go-to anyway, even if they're not captains, in the fact that they can spot things, and you always see them setting fields from behind the sticks. It's good work again by Surrey in the field. And, single for Green.
Focusing slightly less
20.
almost becomes slightly easier because the pressure's almost taken off
244 for 4 the Blaze. So as I say, they want up around 320, 330 here. Pushed away into the offside by Alice. It's good over that for the Blaze.
I almost feel like it comes more natural.
13 off the over, so just beginning to accelerate a touch. 245 for 4.
It's a big over that, clear more bowled really tidily. But conceding a couple of boundaries in that over just pushed her economy rate up and pushed the runs up for the Blaze.
Yeah, so 12 to go. Surrey winning a toss here at Beckenham and unsurprisingly deciding to bowl first. Chasing today on a really good pitch. Really good pitch. That's the catch from Chatley. Again, outstanding bit of keeping. As Moore, start of the 19th over, goes past Elwes's edge. Because the other thing there is, she's covering off first slip as well, obviously. As down the pitch comes Elwes, nicely bowled by Moore. And there, no run again. So a couple of dots to the start of this, the 39th over. But yes, Chatley had a huge amount of ground to cover for that catch. Pulled away out towards deep mid wicket, and it'll go away for 4. And again, good placement from Elwes, just teasing the fielder out there on that deep mid wicket boundary. Elwes moves on to 33.
Yep, starting to look really dangerous, this pair.
Outstanding bit of keeping. As Moore,
for anybody watching today, the other thing with the Chatley catch,
she's covering off
the feet, the footwork as well. We tend to, with keepers, don't we? We tend to watch their glove work, we tend to watch their hands, but the footwork's key as well.
Yeah.
And there's the 250 up with that single. You can see on the electronic scoreboard.
Our offices at Wisden used to be based in the Oval, as regular listeners to the Surrey stream I'm sure will know. Used to watch Ben Folkes train with Alex Stewart for hours.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
For hours on the outfield, just pushing him wider and wider, throwing it to each side to get his feet moving. And that's the key.
Round the wicket now goes Moore, just change of angle. Green tucks this one into the leg side, just be a single.
But especially in the women's game, because so often you're standing up to the stumps with to the pacers as well as the seamers. You've got to really find that balance between being able to move your feet and have those rapid reaction times that we saw with that Chatley catch. It's a really, really tough skill. You watch someone like Rihanna Southby down at Hampshire, and she's a master at it as well.
Cracked by Elwes, and that'll race away for 4. Little short, little wide, just threw the hands through it, and knew as long as she hit the gap, that was going to always be racing off to the boundary rope for 4. So a couple of dots, first 2 balls of the over, and then 10 off it. So 23 off the last 2, so just beginning to up gears. Green and Elwes.
But especially in the women's
Absolutely.
Game, so often
And
you're standing up to the stumps.
I think again, as I say, I'm sure we'll see the Chatley catch again at some point today. It's probably doing the rounds on social media as well now, but it's the footwork as well to get across. And the other thing with the catch is it was always going down.
You can get him on this pitch. Just looking at this. Yeah, straight through the gate. Did her in the flight. So her eyes light up.
It's a nice bit of bowling. Just has gone straight over the top of it. And Green goes for 21. Good wicket, good time to get that wicket as well. Just chipped away here, Surrey.
Yep, and that the marquee overseas player in Maddie Green as well.
Mentioned
before, she's been in brilliant form in New Zealand. Very dangerous player, so it's a good scalp for Surrey to get just before the back 10.
A couple of good ones today for Gregory. Amy Jones for 80 and Maddie Green for 21.
That's a brilliant comeback.
Ella Claridge.
And like we said earlier, you've got to take
there
on
in the middle
on this pitch. Just looking at this.
But you could see Green looking
straight through the gate.
skyward after that,
Did her in the flight.
as if to say, what
So
have I
her
done?
eyes
And there
light
was
up.
probably also a little bit of, it's just done me there.
Yeah,
A
fair play.
touch. Yeah. So this might just halt progress for the Blaze. Just beginning to slip through the gears a touch, they were.
Overseas player in Maddie Green as well.
It's off the mark straight away.
In brilliant form in New Zealand.
We'll get a single out here to
It's a good
deep
good
backward
scout for
square.
Surrey to get
Stonehouse,
just
who's been
before the
very
back 10.
busy sweeping up on the boundary. A single. Claridge off the mark. Elwes comes back on strike on 38. Be a single again. just cut out towards the sweeper once more. Bowling to her field is Gregory.
Good to note that despite that wicket, Wasp is still looking at 328. Still the potential for a big score here.
I'm going to ask you a question now, because I'm not terribly bright. Wasp, yes.
Please don't ask me this question.
You're not going to know the answer.
No, I'm not.
As this one's pulled away, and they will get a single, and Stonehouse does well, gets round very, very quickly. Because I'm racking my brains whenever I see it to think, what on earth does it stand for? I know it's what they should get in the way they're going. As single again, no, push to backward point, and a tidy end to a very good over. Oh no, apologies, one more to come.
I'm willing to bet that the S and the P is score prediction.
Yeah, very good. I like that a lot. Yep, that makes sense to me. Driving for a single. Now we're out there to the sweeper once again. Dunkley does the fielding. That is the end of the over, and at this stage that is a very tidy over from Danny Gregory. So 10 to go. 259 for 5. I'll also be very interested to see how Chatley finishes this off with the bowlers and which bowlers she uses.
Yeah, we're looking up and down. Clearmore's got this. Well, this will be our last one. Oh, not quite yet.
There you go. As you probably heard there on the PA, we do have a change of bowling. Powered by SSE Electric. Alexa Stonehouse back into the attack. Left arm round the wicket. And first up, turned by Elwes out there towards deep backward square.
So you'd think Stonehouse would get through her two here. Picked up the wickets well. How much credit being given to her for the Tammy Beaumont dismissal and how much this has to go on Beaumont? Debatable, but she picked up Tammy Beaumont and Zara Bryce earlier on. You think she'd get through her two? McDonald Gay's got two left. You think she'd get through those two?
Nothing of Capsy today.
No. I'm slightly surprised unless she's carrying an injury, which we'll look to find out.
Claridge forward.
Or unless there's been a preference from England that she's not to bowl in this fixture. So we'll try and find that out.
Because I was downstairs in between, and I was thinking when they went to spin, we had a bit of Dunkley, didn't we, as well? And I thought, oh, spin's the way to go here. So Capsy also could work through these overs with spin. Short and pulled away behind square and away to the boundary rope for 4. Wasn't that short? Claridge has just swung that round the corner and away to the boundary rope for 4 runs. Just on the angle as much as anything, that shot.
Yeah. I think Capsy would have been a very useful asset on this pitch, which is why I think there's another explanation for why she hasn't bowled. And it'll be interesting to see how the Blaze go through with their spinners and how their spinners go. They've got some very good spin bowlers in their lineup.
Yeah, and it's always interesting, isn't it? Because you get a bit of an indicator as pulled again by Claridge. We'll get a single this time, but you always get an indicator, don't you? So the Blaze coaching staff would have been watching this. And it just gives you a pointer of the way to go. Surrey go out there and chase whatever it is they're going to be chasing this afternoon. Elwes drives, nice looking shot, get a run. It's the fielder at extra cover.
We said earlier that Surrey will genuinely believe they can chase anything on this pitch, and that's true. But how much do you think they'll want, or what do you think their limit is that they'll want to chase?
I think you could chase 340 on this. Anything over that, I think, would then get tough. But I think you could. What you do need, though, is what the Blaze haven't had in the chase, is if someone gets in, they keep going. Because they've all got starts. So Tammy Beaumont didn't really, but they've all got starts. And I suppose that is a way of doing it, putting a total on the board. But actually, I think, I'll go back to Amy Jones. She'll feel she's left. She was on 80. Bare minimum, she'll feel she's left another 60, 70 out there when she went. So I think Surrey have done a pretty good job here. It's just finishing it off now. Gregory, 6th over for her. 9 to go for the Blaze. Went for a little wander around the ground. Everyone's having a lovely time in the conditions as well. I would have thought it's hot in those green seats though, in the big stand, in the plastic seat. As first ball tossed up by Gregory.
Be a great work from home day, this, wouldn't it?
Perfect. The only problem with the plastic seats is if you arrive now, they'd be very hot when you sit down. But a nice place to watch a bit of the cricket. Use of the feet here from Elwes. That's lovely batting. Super placement. And a couple of paces down the pitch and then threaded that between short extra and a wideish mid-off. It's a lovely bit of batting.
Yeah,
and again, not overhitting there.
No, just scuttling down the crease, like down the pitch slightly. Starting to look quite dangerous, Georgia Elwes, 42 off 43. Senior batter here.
Yep, playing very nicely. Oh, that's well bowled. And I think for a second there, Elwes thought full toss, and then it just dipped at the last minute on it. She's dug it out into the leg side and picked up another single.
Yeah, nicely bowled, nicely kept out.
3 away from what would be a very nice 50. As Claridge comes back on to strike.
And a couple of paces down the pitch and then
forward she comes. Plays this one away into the offside. Yeah, I think there Claridge was just trying to manoeuvre that.
No, just scuttling down the crease.
Into the big gap through the covers.
Starting to look quite dangerous, Georgia Elwes, 42 or 43.
That bottom hand just opening the bat up to Gregory a touch.
Yeah, very nicely.
Good over so far, gets even better as Gregory bowls Claridge. Looking for the slog sweep. Little bit of turn and hitting the top of the off stump. And Danny Gregory has 3, and again, Surrey wicket at a good time. Claridge gone for 7.
Yeah, this is immense stuff from Danny Gregory.
Well, it is on here, on this surface. It's terrific stuff from Danny Gregory. Hugely talented, of course, experienced now. Danny Gregory. Actually, I thought there might have been a little hint of turn, but there wasn't really. But it's hit the top of the off stump. What do they always say, catch it? Top of off stump.
Top of off, and you can't go wrong.
Yes.
Gets even better.
And that was perfect.
As Gregory bowls Claridge. Looking for the slog
Well, again, it's a good time to get the wicket for Surrey. At the moment, this Blaze innings, you often use this analogy during a 50 over game. It's like an old-fashioned car where you used to have to manually do the choke to get it started, and just when you think you've got it started, you just have to do it again. And it's been a little like that.
I don't think that's limited to old-fashioned cars.
Well,
my car can often be like that.
Yes. You used to have to. I'm not old enough where you used to have to put the handle in and turn it at the front, but you used to have a little sort of pulley thing. Really, you're just trying to get the engine started, and that's what I mean with this Blaze innings. This will be a wide first up from Gregory. Gordon, the new batter.
Just getting through to the Blaze tail now. Kirsty Gordon capable with the bat, but you wouldn't regard her as proper batter.
Been 3 good wickets for Gregory, haven't they?
They have 3 important wickets.
Comes off the mark in neat and tidy fashion. Out there
it's been
to
a little like that.
I don't think that's limited to old
Dunkley.
Well, my car can often be like
So
that.
good over again from Danny Gregory.
I'm not old enough for you.
Had a quick recovery for Kirsty Gordon as well. Played the match last week after leaving that England A tour with a bit of an injury. Blaze will be happy to have her back, so important to their 11, both as captain and as a spinner.
So much talent now, isn't there? In the women's game. Oh, hello. This is interesting.
So Cam reckons that is Josie Groves' mum.
I think it might be. I think I've done a couple of Blaze games over the last couple of years, and I seem to remember having this conversation before. It's terrific with no music as well. I'm not sure those three will be joining her for any dancing this afternoon. Stonehouse then. 43rd over. Gordon on strike and beats the edge. First up.
Had a quick recovery for Kirsty Gordon as well.
But yeah, 3 good wickets today for Danny Gregory.
A bit of an injury.
Amy Jones,
Blaze will be happy to have her back. So
the big outside edge.
They're 11, both as captain and as a spinner.
Seen hitting the top of the off. So it's been good stuff today from her. You see Alice Davison Richards there. Very, very experienced as well.
I think I've done a couple of Blaze games over the last couple of years, and I seem to remember
Short ball from Stonehouse.
with no music as well.
Tight start to the over. One of life's mysteries, cricketing mysteries to me. Talk about Alice there. So makes a test debut.
Yep.
Scores 100.
Yep.
And then hasn't played a test match. So I know there aren't many test matches from a women's cricket point of view, and there should be more, but I thought she'd get another one at some point.
Yeah, you'd think there are a couple of factors at play in that. I agree. I think she could have played a lot more games for England had circumstances been different, but you look at when that test was played, what was it, 2022? 2022,
Taunton,
summer
wasn't it?
2022, that test.
Taunton.
Just as Lisa Kitely was outgoing as England women's head coach and as John Lewis was coming in.
That's a very good point. Gordon cannot get the ball through the infield here, and this is why that wicket was important.
And when Lewis came in, looked to take the side in a different direction, and the player right in front of us, Danny Wyatt-Hodge, came into the test setup at number 6, making her test debut against Australia in the Ashes the following summer.
So I know there aren't many.
Bit harsh though, isn't it?
Women's cricket point of view, and there should be more, but
As that's wide outside the off stump, that'll be signalled wide. That's outside the tram lines.
There are a couple of facts at play in that. I agree. I think
Well, I remember
she could have played a lot more
being
games.
delighted for her as well.
Been different, but you look at when
She
that
got
test
that
was played,
100.
2020.
She's a firm favourite on the county circuit.
Oh,
Summer 2022,
hell of a
that
cricketer
test.
as well.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
Just as
Well,
Lisa Kitely was
there's
out
no
there.
reason why she won't play more games for England going forward over the next few years either.
As this is pulled by Gordon through the leg side, and that's going to go over the boundary rope and away for 4. Well fielded as well, beyond the boundary rope.
And when Lewis
Great bit of
came
work.
in,
Gordon
let's
moves
take
on
the
to
side in a different
5
direction,
now.
and the player right in front of us,
Little bit of
Danny
relief
Wyatt-Hodge,
there
came
for
into the
Gordon.
setup at number 6,
Hit the
making her
field
test debut
3
against
times,
Australia
but
in
that
the
one
Ashes the following summer.
just pulling away. And watch this bit of fielding as well. Excellent stuff. A couple of steps, round you come.
signal wide. That's outside the tram lines.
Still on this angle. Oh, well bowled. That's lifted. That's an absolute perler from nowhere from Stonehouse. Haven't seen that today at all.
Yeah, what a ball to finish your spell on.
Well, she's 2 for 65 off her 10. So yeah, the Davison Richards you're seeing, but this again. Watch this. This is lifted just back, just back of the length. It's a cracking delivery to finish with. I feel a bit there for Gordon getting that one, but she didn't get an edge. But yeah, Alice Davison Richards, very experienced and chatting away there. And Alice Davison Richards, I think, is the sort of player that you're delighted to have in any side, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you, but I think if anything that the start to this domestic season has shown, that some of the pearl clutching over the winter of there's just no depth in the English domestic setup is completely
Yeah, what a ball to finish your spell on.
Well, she's 2 for 65 off her 10. 2 for 65 off her 10. So yeah, there, Davison Richards you're seeing, but this again. Watch this. This has lifted just back, just back of a length. It's a cracking delivery to finish with. I felt a bit there for Gordon getting that one, but she didn't get an edge. But yeah, that is Davison Richards, very experienced and chatting away there.
rounded. Because from what we've seen over the start of the season, there is plenty of talent out there. It's just a question of getting it all into the squad.
It's always the same when it goes wrong. Instead of saying it's gone wrong, and sometimes it does, there's shout for LBW, I think going down.
Just no depth in the English domestic setup is completely unfounded. Because from what we've seen over the start of the season, there is plenty of talent out there. It's just a question of getting it all into the squad.
It's always the same when it goes wrong. Instead of saying it's gone wrong, and sometimes it does, there's shout for LBW, I think going down. Well, not even in the races there. There's Gordon. It was called through by Elvis. And I think was umpire watching to see whether the finger might go up. And the throw came in. Yeah, missing leg.
I think she was actually a bit worried about whether that ball was going to trickle back on the stump. So just watching the ball, trying to make sure she knew where it went, and then on the umpire, by which time Elvis was well out of the crease.
And the pitch comes Elvis, nicely bowled. It was umpire watching to see whether the finger might go up. And the throw came in. It goes wrong. Yeah, missing leg.
I think she was actually a bit worried about whether that ball was going to trickle back on the stump. So just watching the ball